My name is Roy, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. Shayna, good job. It's not as hard as we thought it was. It's nerve-wracking up here, but you did a good job. It was great to hear your story. I suffer from this thing called an ego, right? And I wasn't going to talk about it, but I was on my way over here, and I was like, but it says I have 6 years on the flyer. But wait a minute, I have 6 years in like 11 and a half months. So I really got 7 years, but no fronts, right? But I've been telling everybody I got 7 years. People are like, yeah, I got like 7 years, you know what I mean? And so my ego was like, man, they only gonna think I got 6 years. But I was also told that the record is 24 hours, and I got a daily reprieve. And just like all of you, I got to come to a room like this to remind me that I'm a motherfucking addict. And if I don't remind myself that, then I'm in trouble. So thank you for this daily reprieve, and thank you for your story, because I need that to remind me. Whenever I speak, I bring this with me. This is special to my heart. This is the 3rd edition, basic text. It's beautiful leather case. It was made in Mexico. It has Roy on it. And it was given to me by my father on my year anniversary. But what's even more special is that it has my mom's signature in it, and she wrote to him. I'm not going to read it because it's like a personal thing, but my mom died because of this disease called addiction. So it's very important to me that I get to have this. I cherish this. This is my sword in recovery. It also has Don Andrews, and some people in this room will know who Don Andrews is. He's a predecessor. It also has Kenny, it's gonna make me cry. Kenny, you know, anybody know him? Kenny Barr, he wrote in this. He's a predecessor. And I feel like that they walk with me today. You know what I mean? And so I carry this with me, and I don't even read out of it or do any of my step work out of it. I kind of just bring it up with me and I look at it because it's super neat. But it's a part of my story. And a big part of my story, and I always talk about it, is my first rehab was the incubator that I spent the first 6 months of my life in, because I was born drug affected. And so this disease has been trying to kill me ever since I was born. I've been fighting it my whole life. Both of my parents were heroin addicts, and I'm a product of that. My trauma, my pain, all the shit that the literature talks about that we have to go through, I earned my seat in this room. It's all based because of heroin, drugs, and the disease of addiction, and everything that came with it. I come from a long line of addicts, and this disease has deposited souls from my family. And I'll talk about that because it's a part of my story. But the funny thing about this disease is that it's also giving me my freedom, right? Because I was born in these rooms. I was that little kid that John and his wife have at meetings, right? I was born in these rooms. I was in Heart and Soul last night, and Harrison told a story. He remembers me running around and dancing at the Pass Club. Don't hurt him, hammer, right? I remember the Blue Goose. I remember Stay Clean, these mythological meetings that we hear about. I remember all these things vividly, the Personality Club. I remember when you guys used the AA book. I remember when Harry, you know, I didn't know he was the predecessor back then, but I remember all you guys following him, and I didn't know. If you know Harry had big old thumbs. And we were kids. We would run up and say, show us your thumbs, Harry. And he'd say, I'll flick you. Right? Like, I remember these things. You know what I mean? I remember my living room being full of smoke. People like Jerry Craig, Charles Zetta, they were all sitting there cussing. I mean, talk like sailors. And I was so nosy. I remember being in the stairs just listening to them like, did you hear what she just said? And I remember I had heard a word, and I had heard it. They said it a lot. And my brother had did something to me, and I said, stop it, you cocksucker. My mom said, and I was like, but you and Jerry Craig? She said, no, you can't say that, right? But these are my fond memories, and it's because of Narcotics Anonymous, you guys. Even in my motherfucking addiction. My addiction did not get as bad as some of our other stories, right? Because I was taught, my parents didn't know no better, but they knew the literature. So they would tell me, I remember vividly my mom saying, Roy, your brother hit you, but what'd you do? You need to do an inventory. Literally. This is my life. Like, this is that type of stuff. Sitting down and doing interventions. My brother, I remember they had caught like a bong. And he was a gang member. He had a blue rag. She literally sent us down to his room. And he had left or something. And we were lifting up mattresses and shit. And we found this bong behind this mirror with a blue rag on it. She goes, he's freebasing. You know what I mean? And so I remember coming home and us all sitting in the living room. And he came home and she had us write him a letter and say, tell him how this is affecting you guys. Not knowing that she was trying to do an intervention on him, but that's what I was exposed to, right? And I say that to say because in the deepest depths of my addiction, I knew that if it got too bad, I can come to these rooms. I always knew that NA worked. I wasn't afforded the luxury of not believing these rooms didn't work. I watched the evidence. It was my life. And so I truly believe that I didn't allow my addiction to get as bad as it could have been because of that, right? I remember when I first smoked weed, going in the bathroom looking like, oh my God, you're on drugs. Just smoking weed as a teenager. But in my mind, that was some addict shit because I knew where it led to. But I'm a byproduct of this shit. I'm genetically pre-exposed. So when that weed hit my body, I didn't stand a chance. Because what it did, it allowed some behaviors to highlight. It allows some self-obsession, some manipulation. Obsessive compulsive stuff manifests itself at a very young age around sex, around fighting, around anger. I don't mind getting naked up here because in order for me to save my face, I gotta talk about what happened on that asshole, right? Can't save my face and my asshole at the same time. I'm an addict. I did addict shit and I'm not proud of it. Shayna, you talked about, I was telling my niece that if you keep coming, you're going to hear somebody say something that is going to remind you of yourself. It's going to click. Two totally different people from two totally different backgrounds. But there was a point in my life where I worked in surgery. I was an anesthesia tech, right? I moved to Alabama trying to get away from the disease, and I got this job fooling everybody. But I'm in Alabama, and I ain't connected yet. But my whole mission is to try to find a connect. I need to get my opiates. I got to get my pills, right? I think I had found the lady. This is how cold it is. The lady in Alabama is land, and there was my sister's land, and on top of the hill was a lady that stayed in a trailer. And I think she had gave me like a methadone pill, just slid me one. And I seen her drive past. And I was like, oh, she left. I literally ran up the hill, broke into her house trying to find some methadone, right? This is all within a week because it got so bad. And so I'm in surgery, and I'm watching what the anesthesia nurses are doing. They're taking the vials, and I didn't quite understand, but they were putting it in the box, the hazardous box. And I kept on thinking about it like, man, I can get that box. There's something in there that's going to get me right? I'm an anesthesia tech, so a part of my job is to handle all of the utensils. So I forget the number. I should know this because I was an anesthesia tech, but it was some CC, right? It was some CC. I grabbed that. I grabbed the little tourniquet. Mind you, I never shot dope before in my life, you guys. I'm just a pill head, crush them up, snort them, swallow them. You know what I mean? Run of the mill, but I had been doing it for 15 years, so my disease was bad, right? I have saved up enough little vials, and they were fentanyl. Fentanyl hadn't hit yet. When I thought about, it was opiates. It was, I knew what methadone was, I knew what morphine was. But it was this thing called fentanyl, and I might have saved up like 25 of these little vials with just a little tiny drip in them, right? And I'm like, oh, I got like about this much if I break these all down. Never shot dope before, so I go in the bathroom, my sister and them, to get to your story. Go in the bathroom at work, right? And I got these vials. Now, mind you, the way it was is I get off work, I had to wait for my sister to get off work for me to get back home. There was a basement bathroom in the goddamn hospital. I call myself about to shoot up. Don't know what I'm doing. I go way too deep, blood starts squirting everywhere. Panicking. Like literally, I pull it out, panicking, blood everywhere, don't know what I'm doing, scared as shit, literally how to wipe it up, But the moral of that is that I tried that. Luckily, they had diluted it so much that it was just water in there, you guys. It was no fentanyl, because I would have died, as we know now. But see, that's what our disease does to us. In a privileged situation, which I was, my disease kicked in. I never told that story before. That's crazy. But I'm saying I'm an addict, and I have to identify as an addict. So as I sit here and you were saying that, I was like, man, because I think I forgot about that story. And I'm like, damn, I remember that. I'm going to talk about that. See, because money, property, prestige, freedom from active addiction, we forget about some shit. My mind, my ego will make me forget that I'm not an addict. Right? It will make me forget that I'm one bad decision away. And that I can fuck it all off. Relationship, the house, the job, the reputation, the cars, the jewelry. All that can go within a day. I'm very much capable of it. But because of these rooms, I know better and I have some tools to face that. And I thank God every day that my desperation got great enough that I called and wanted to get some help. Right? And what I learned is there's something inside of me that's trying to kill me. Always trying to kill me. And if somebody else had did to me what I did to myself, I would want to kill them. So I got to watch out for me as if I was watching out for somebody who's trying to kill me. Because I made a decision that I'm an addict, but I don't want to do that no more. You know, I'd rather go through life clean, convinced that I'm an addict instead of going through life high, trying to convince myself that I'm not. Fuck that. The worst crime ever committed is a person to steal from oneself and not to know anything is missing. And that's what my disease did to me, and I refuse to go back to that. I love life today. I have a higher power that wakes me up every day and lets me know that there's more out there for you to accomplish, Roy. The literature talks about more will be revealed, and the fact that I know that there is something else that I can... they say this, our literature talks about lost dreams being awoken. And you guys hear addicts talk about this all the time. Like, you could not have told me that I would have the life that I have right now. And I'm not even talking about, like, you know, the material stuff. I mean, the fruitful life that I have right now, a relationship where I pray with my woman. Like, I mean, it's not perfect, right? We still fight. We still say some ignorant shit and hurt each other's feelings, but we pray together. That's some healthy shit that I never understood before. You know what I mean? To walk away and to come back and then to pray together, man, that's God. That's the love that you guys promised me would happen in these rooms. The hug that I get from my partners that I ain't seen in a while. You know, that were in treatment with me. You know what I mean? The love of watching my niece celebrate 30 days today. Yeah. And so you say, hey, we get naked up here and we call each other we hold each other accountable and we call each other on our shit. So I introduced her to Roger. This is my niece. She goes, oh, my name is Christine. Your name is Maya. Christine is who you was when you was in the streets, when you was in the clubs. Your name is Maya. You have 30 days clean today, and I love you, and we're all proud of you for it. Okay? Because I was told the lie is dead. And it is. We don't have to live like that no more. I mean, none of this shit made sense to me. But they told me that I'm an addict, and any addict can quit using drugs, lose the desire, and find a new way to live. And that's what we all have done. On a Saturday night, you know, hearing about a nurse pass her exam high as shit off of whatever you concocted, right?
No, I failed.
You failed? Oh, you failed. See? But I heard you made it because I was hearing all this great shit, right? But we come to these rooms and we do shit like that. I found a new way to live. And I don't, it hurt me to hear you say that because you don't know who you are yet. But I promise you keep showing up, the mind will catch up. It will, you know. Man, I have a sponsor who has a sponsor, you know, works steps. I sponsor guys. I have a support group that sees me coming before I do. You know what I mean? We do a step study. This step study has kept me clean, right? I get to get naked. I get to talk about anything. I have men in my life who help me figure it out. If they don't have the answers, we figure it out together. You know what I mean? beautiful things have happened. You know, my father is the one that brought me to these rooms, and now I have more clean time than my father's. And when he relapsed, he called me for help. The paradox, right? The paradox that I have to admit that I'm an addict to have victory. There's victory in defeat, right? I mean, it's an amazing life to go through hell and to come out of it, to rise from them flames, that we talk about. It's a beautiful life. God can't do nothing with the perfect ones, but us, he can turn us into beautiful things. He likes this canvas right here. And I keep allowing him to enter into my life. See, this is the thing about recovery that I find that is the hardest, but is the most profound. It's surrendering. If you can figure out how to surrender in one way, anybody that's new, if you can surrender, take the suggestions and surrender to a higher power and to this program, you hear these cliches, it'll start working without your permission. Then once you surrender to this program, you learn how to surrender to your desires. You learn, I always say this too, and if you heard this before, I got to say it because when I heard it, it was like, ooh, light bulb went on. I got to watch out for the bad in me. And when I say bad, not like the bad, the evil, but I mean my behaviors, my attitude, and my desires. I got to watch out for those things, right? If my behaviors aren't on point, I'm telling you I'm a fucked up person to be around, and I'm in a prelapse. If my attitude is not right, my attitude in my relationship, my attitude in my job, my attitude of indifference, I'm in trouble. I'm in a prelapse. My desires. Man, my desires sometimes are stronger than the money that I make, right? My desires can make me want to steal shit out of nowhere, right? Money in the bank account, go there, be at Winco's, and I just want to steal some shit because I'm an addict. I don't know why. But if I give in to them the desires, then I'm fucked up. I'm back to square one. I mean, even with clean time, I'm talking about a little candy, a grape. I still eat grapes, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about. But I got clean time right now, so when I eat the grape, I'm like, am I still in? Am I being spiritual right now? Like, what's really going on? I'm gonna eat a grape. But what I mean is, I wanted to steal some shit, like Snickers and like just weird shit, right? Like I don't know why, but I'm saying I gotta watch out for that shit. And then I got to talk about it, right? Because I'm an addict. And that type of shit leads to something different. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. There's always something inside of me that wants to kill me, sabotage what I have. Man, familiar pain. Familiar pain. Let's talk about it. I like familiar pain. For some reason, I like to cry. You guys gonna laugh at me, but I know somebody else in here has done this. When you were a kid, were you ever crying, you look in the mirror and it makes you cry even harder? Or make you cry more? So, you look at, that's familiar pain. I'm the only one? Hey, man, hey, it happens. But I look at that as like when we talk about trying to sabotage shit, or when I talk about, things are going too good, or in my relationship, you know what I mean? Sometimes, familiar pain is just comfortable for me. I'll cause chaos where there shouldn't be any. You know what I mean? And so that type of stuff I have learned today through some step work, through step 4 specifically. And a step 4 is the most powerful thing you can do for oneself. Step 4 is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Through a step 4, I realized that that's a part of my character defects, right? Because I'll sabotage myself and blame it on somebody else. Think about that. I'll sabotage me, then blame it on somebody else, then build a resentment against them, right? Just so I can feel bad about myself for having a resentment against them, because that's familiar pain. Step 4 taught me that. And so clarity comes from me diving into myself. And step work is like a boomerang. You got to pull back in order to go forward. That's what my sponsor told me. And I was like, damn, like that makes sense to me. Like I got to go back to build momentum for me to go forward. And when I go back, I'm able to really get some clarification about what went wrong. And what I found out is that a lot of shit happened to me. I have a lot of trauma in my life. My parents were heroin addicts. We went to foster homes. I dealt with abuse, physical and sexual abuse. Like not on a high scale, but shit that fucked me up, that a kid didn't have to go through. And that's not my fault. But it was trauma. It was shit that I had to deal with. And it followed me throughout my life. I've never been to jail, you guys. I mean, I've been to jail, but I've never caught a felony. Like, I've never done no time. I remember one time, DeAndre, you were like, how the fuck did you not? Like, I don't get it. And I don't have an answer for you. But what I can tell you is God was working in my life even back then. And I had protectors. Like, I was the baby, right? And my brother, and they protected me. And I remember one time somebody took a case for me. Rachel, your last DUI, she took a case for me. I was driving that car. She took the DUI. And we're still paying for it with 7 years. But 6 and some change. 6. You still got to SR22 that we paying for with 6 years, 11 months, and almost there, right? We're still paying for it. But I believe it's because that recovery was a part of me that whole time. And it made me make some good decisions through all those bad ones. Through all the insanity, there was recovery. I remember asking my mom, can I say that my name is Roy and I'm an addict next? And her being like, no. But ironically, I say it, and I say it with proud. I say it proudly. Because the day that I forget I'm an addict is the day I'm not an addict no more. I'm in active addiction. And I don't know if I can make it out of the next one, because we all know it's people dying every day. It is not the same out there. And I don't know if I have I don't know if I have the energy, the willpower, or the hipness. Like, I've lost it. I lost it. I don't have no hip, slick, and cool in me no more at all. I go to Orange Theory and run. Like, that's my day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saving up money to get my kitchen fixed. Shit like that. You know what I mean? We pray. You know what I mean? We had crumble and we felt bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the shit that I deal with today. I'm like a real square. A real square. But I love going out to go mow my lawn and waving at the neighbor. Like, I love that shit now. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, babe, I'll clean the gutters. You know what I mean? Like, for real, because I never thought I could have nothing like that. I'll say this. I know my time is running out. I'll say this. To me, the worst thing about addiction, what it did to me, is it belittled what I knew I had potential to do. So it made me so scared of what I could become that I wouldn't even try. I remember those last days getting picked up. Didn't have no money, was sick, and my friend was like, all right, I'll give you half of a 30. Right? And I'm riding with him, and he went and picked somebody up, and he was like, get in the back. I'm like, well, why I gotta get in the back? Just little shit like this, and I'm in the back seat in his nice car, and I felt so little. He told me to get in the back. This is my little homie, but it had got so bad that I didn't think that I was worthy enough to be the person that they call on now, to be the first one to buy a home. You know what I mean? To be the first one to actually, invest. This type of shit that I just never thought was possible. But they say you stick around long enough, lost dreams will be awoken, and more will be revealed. So thank you for letting me tell my story. I love you guys. I got 5 more minutes? Okay, I want to talk about John. I got 8? Okay, so, no, when I came in these rooms, I want to talk about something, man, predecessors. Because I did want to mention this. This thing does not work, right, if we don't know how to do it. And the thing about predecessors is, just like our ancestors, they went through some shit that we just don't have to experience for us to have this experience. Like, I remember you guys working out the AA book. I remember that. Like, I remember going to, was it the Holiday Inn? I remember the first men's retreat, being there. And I remember the fights and shit and all that type of weird shit. And so what I can say is that anytime I talk to one of our predecessors that like pre-miracles, pre-stay clean, past club, what they say is they never thought it'd be this many young people in recovery. And that's crazy to me for my 24, 23-year-old niece that I love so much that I will never forget your birthday again and your age. To celebrate 30, like I wish I would have even tried it. Like I know no matter what happens, relapse is a part of a lot of our stories, but the seed is planted and you have a chance. Like our predecessors went through all that shit for us to have this opportunity. Measure 110, right? We all know it's a hot topic and all this shit. We know I've never seen our city like this and recovery like this. And I'm not going to be in a Nazi and talk about how I feel about recovery right now. It's not my place. But what I can say is we need to stand by each other more now than ever, right? Because medically, legislative, they're getting involved with our shit, y'all. And NA is getting further and further of what the solution is. These rooms are getting further and further of what the solution is. So we have to keep showing up and showing them that it still works. And the predecessors laid the foundation, right? And what I can say is we talk about all these, great things that are happening in our life. Right now, there's an addict that is getting Narcaned. You know what I mean? Our primary purpose is to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. There's so many platforms, forums for us to show up and advocate. I don't know what's going to come of it, but what I can say is this. We have to support new programs, people that are starting up these new initiatives. Like, we have to stand together. In my field, in my work, I have to go do a lot of lobbying. Oh, this is another thing, you guys. God is working. I just got a call. I'm jumping around. Senator Whiten is asking me to come to D.C. to speak on behalf of gun violence here in the city of Portland. And I just got nominated to be a part of the Chicago University Crime Lab Community Violence Leadership Academy, where I will be in Chicago representing the state of Oregon, in the chapter for gun violence, right? All that's possible because of these rooms. And when I say that I have to lobby and I have to work with politics and I have to go to Salem a lot, I'm telling you, we have a place in that world. A lot of times, I'm the smartest motherfucker in the room, and I learned that. Because we are the people with lived experience. We're the content experts. So we got to stand up for our community. I love you guys. My 8 minutes. I didn't know if I got that.